Welcome to the Healing While Discovering Yourself podcast. I'm your host, Andrea Michelle. I'm an intuitive transformational coach, certified life coach, certified NLP practitioner, and speaker. I've spent the last 22 plus years helping myself and my clients learn how to create their own happiness and live more abundant lives. In this time, I've also overcome and healed from child sexual molestation, a compulsive eating disorder, hunger, and homelessness. Now it's your turn to move forward with your life and heal from childhood traumas or past experiences. In this podcast, I'll share how I was able to overcome all of my past struggles, as well as my personal stories of overcoming jealousy, loneliness, resentment, and bitterness, and how I learned to forgive. I'll also help you explore your shadow self, deal with having low or no self-esteem, and address feelings of not being worthy or loved. Using my personal experiences and extensive training, as well as stories of grief, loss, depression, and anxiety from my guests, I'll help you change your life and finally heal. Today's episode of the Healing While Discovering Yourself podcast is sponsored by my virtual Inner Child Healing Retreat on September 20th through September 24th. This is a virtual retreat to help you get in touch with your inner child and or begin healing your inner child so that you can achieve your big goals. If you are a high achiever or high performer and you feel called to explore some of your childhood memories or some of your other unpleasant past experiences, then this is a great opportunity for you to do so. Throughout the retreat, you're going to discover who your inner child is, how to talk to your inner child, how to release your inner child, and you're going to do so within a supportive and safe community and receive all of the inspiration and the tools that you need to keep moving forward. If you're interested in a virtual Inner Child Healing Retreat, go to innerchildhealing.co. Again, that's innerchildhealing.co. Hey, loves. Welcome back to the Healing While Discovering Yourself podcast. Thank you for being here. I'm humbled by your presence, and I'm so glad you decided to hit play. If this is your first time, then I want to extend a very warm welcome to you and thank you so much for being here. I'm also going to invite you to listen to the first 1 to 3 episodes just so you can get a feel for the way that I present information and then also learn a little bit more about me. And I promise you, if you listen to the first 3 episodes, you're going to like me. It's hard not to like. Well, I don't know. I guess I don't know. Some people love me, some people don't. And you know what? That's just the way it is. I'm not for everybody. And you know what? I really might not be for you. I don't know, but I'm going to let you decide whether or not you think that I'm for you or not. So if this is your first time, go back and listen to a few of the other podcast episodes before you make a decision as to whether or not you want to continue listening to the Healing While Discovering Yourself podcast. But what I will promise you is that if you show up and you listen to the episodes with an open mind, willing to do the work, whatever the work looks like for you in the moment, I promise you that you will begin to see healing and you will begin to see change in your life. So thank you for being here. Today, I think it may be a short episode. I'm not quite sure because there are times when I plan my episodes way in advance. And so I think, oh yeah, this will be about 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And sometimes it's the episodes when I think, oh yeah, these will be about 10, 15 minutes. I can say what I want to say and be done. Those are the ones that end up being longer than I expect. And then the ones where I'm like, oh yeah, this is going to be pretty substantial, maybe 20, 25 minutes. Those end up being the ones that are like 10, 15 minutes. So you know what? So I think I'm just going to stop saying how long an episode is going to be and just simply just talk to y'all and just share the message that I feel is relevant and useful for you. So today's episode is Love is Not Blind. Okay. Understand this, y'all. Love is not blind. And I think the reason why we think that love is blind is because we've been conditioned to believe that accepting any form of, maybe abuse is a harsh word, but accepting any form of abuse is okay, right? Because oftentimes when we think of love is blind, or when people say love is blind, it's usually because we've been mistreated. That's the word that I wanted to say, mistreated, not necessarily abuse, it's mistreatment. Because usually when you hear people talk about love is blind, it's usually in the context that someone has been mistreated, right? It's either someone has kind of like disrespected you, or maybe someone has cheated on you, or maybe even someone has actually abused you, whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally, financially, right? That's usually when we hear people talking about this idea that love is blind, right? Or you can't help who your heart loves, and all of those things like that. And I want to let you know that that's a trauma response. Staying with someone who constantly mistreats you is a trauma response. And staying with that person because you believe that love is blind is a trauma response. And when we say love is blind, and when we use that as an excuse, you know what we do? We minimize what love really is. And the truth is that love is. And there is no such thing. I want y'all to hear this good. And even write this down, or screen record it, or do whatever you need to do to make sure you get this, what I'm going to say next. Love is. There is no such thing as unconditional love. Because if we believe that there's a such thing as unconditional love, then we also have to believe that the opposite of that, which is conditional love, we have to believe that conditional love is true. And if we believe that conditional love is true, then we don't believe that love is. Because there are no conditions associated or tied to love. Love is truth. Love is perfect. Love is sufficient. And so love is not blind, but love simply flows, right? This is what love is. It flows, okay? It flows. It's sufficient. But what is blind is attachment. And attachment is dangerous because attachment makes you blind to what's actually in front of you. So when it comes to being in a relationship where you have been mistreated, instead of saying fully that I am leaving because I am being mistreated, you become attached to an idea of the relationship or an idea of a person that no longer exists. And it's that attachment that keeps you in a relationship. Now, this relationship can be between parents, between siblings, between spouses, soulmates, friendships, right? This can be in any relationship. Love is not blind. Attachment is blind. And that makes attachment dangerous, right? And you have to be willing to let go of the attachment that you have to someone or something in order to truly be free. In order to be free, you have to be willing to let go of the attachment. Because with love, there is no attachment. Because remember, love flows. Love flows. Love is not attached to anything or anyone. It is, and it exists for all of us. And it's available to us at any given time, at any given moment, if we release our attachment to what is. Right? In terms of a relationship, you remember how good the relationship was when you first got together and how y'all dated and everybody was so sweet to one another and you did things for one another. And then over the course of months and sometimes even years, the relationship changes. And this person is you no longer have that intimacy and you no longer spend time together and you no longer hang out. And yet you remain in that relationship because you are attached to the memory of what was. And you're disillusioned. Is disillusioned a word? I don't know. We're going to pretend like it's a word. To believe that, oh, we can get that back, right? Or this person is not this person. It's the person they were when I first met them. Well, hold on now. Believe it was the late, great Dr. Maya Angelou who said, when someone shows you who they are, believe them, right? You're attached to a memory. You're attached to an idea that no longer exists. It's not love that's keeping you there. It's attachment to a memory, to an idea, to a person who no longer exists. And now I'm not advocating that you break off all of your relationships that have changed, because one thing that is inevitable in this life is change. Change is inevitable. Change will happen whether you are ready for it, whether you want it or not. Change will happen 100%, right? And so the expectation is that you change. The expectation is that people change. And we hope that people change and become a better version of themselves, but that is not always the case, especially when we're dealing with trauma, unhealed trauma, and anybody can be triggered at any given moment, right? And that triggering can cause drastic changes. So this is not about people changing per se. This is about you being attached to something that used to be. And because you're attached to something that used to be, which means you're attached to the past, guess what? All of your decisions, the decisions you make in this present moment, is based on the past. And so because your decisions are based on the past, guess what you'll continue to do? You'll continue to repeat the past. You'll continue to repeat the same behaviors, actions, habits of the past because you're making decisions based on the past. Instead of looking at it for what it is, which is what love is, and saying, this relationship, again, it can be with a soulmate, it can be with whomever. This relationship used to be wonderful, right? And now this person treats me this way. And because I have healed from my trauma and I love myself, I no longer want to be associated or treated this way. Therefore, I am going to make the decision to walk away. In love, in peace, sometimes we hope, right? But I'm going to walk away because now I am actually loving myself. I'm loving myself. Right? So let's not get caught up in this idea, right, that love is blind. Because love is not blind. Love is not blind. Attachment is blind. And if you have experienced any sort of trauma, right, that attachment could be a trauma response. Right? At one point, I felt safe with this person. Now I no longer feel safe with this person, but because at one point I did feel safe and I don't know what else is out there, I'm going to stay. Even though it's toxic, even though it's abusive, even though I'm mistreated, even though I feel taken advantage of, I'm still going to stay because this feels comfortable for me, right? And this feels safe, even though it's abuse, even though it's mistreatment, it feels safe, right? And so I just hope you understand that safety can be yours. Safety can be had. You don't have to stay in a toxic situation if you don't want to. And if the situation is toxic, let's stop calling it love, because that is not what it is. It's attachment, right? And to make this clear, instead of thinking, oh, I love you, think of, oh, I attach you. Don't even make sense, right? But some of y'all living are involved in attachment relationships and you're not doing anything about it. It's not love, boo. It's not love, sweetheart. It's not love, king. It is not love, queen. You're attached to what was. And the memory of what was is making you blind to what's actually in front of you. So what I am asking you to do is take a step back, right? Take a step back and really truly ask yourself, do I feel safe? Not comfortable, but at the end of the day, do I feel safe with this person, right? Do I feel held? Do I feel supported? Do I feel like I'm not being judged? And if you can't answer yes to that, especially when it comes to safety, then it's time to walk away. It's time to walk away. And I mean that even if it's the relationship is with a parent, if it's with a sibling, if it's with a family member, if it's with a friend of 20, 30 years, it doesn't matter. If you don't feel safe, I can promise you, you will never begin to heal from your trauma. Because those of us who have experienced trauma, the number one need for us is safety. The number one need for those of us who have experienced trauma is to feel safe. And love is safe. Attachment is not. So if you don't feel safe, I'm encouraging you to just evaluate where you are so that you can get to a place of safety so that you can begin healing what needs to be healed. All right. I hope this was helpful. I hope that it opened your eyes to see things maybe from a different perspective, a perspective that you've not thought about before. And if you're listening to this and you're like, you know what? Yeah, I'm ready to be free. Then I want to invite you to join my virtual inner child healing retreat. I'm hosting it September 20th through the 24th, and it'll be 5 days of us together healing our inner child. Now, I know you thinking, I've never experienced trauma. I don't have any trauma. I had great parents, 2-family household. I was affluent or middle class, so I don't have any trauma. I know you don't. I know you don't. But this episode just resonated with you just because. It's not because you've experienced trauma. You haven't. I know. And I'm still inviting you to my inner child healing retreat. It's virtual. If you want more information, go to innerchildhealing.co. Again, that's innerchildhealing.co to learn more and to read about it. Maybe you go there and you read it and you're like, know what? Nope, doesn't resonate with me. And if it doesn't resonate, it doesn't resonate. But I'm asking you not to reject this idea that you have some healing that needs to happen. I'm asking you not to reject the idea that you've experienced trauma. And just for the record, neglect. If you were a latchkey kid, right? If you had to fend for yourself, if you had to do things by yourself, if you had an absent parent or emotionally unavailable parents, they didn't tell you they were proud of you or that they loved you. They provided for you, but they didn't tell you all of that. Chances are you may have some healing to do. I don't know. I'm just saying. But if you'd like to learn more, go to innerchildhealing.co. Again, that's innerchildhealing.co. And understand this. Having experienced trauma does not make you a bad person. Admitting that you've experienced trauma does not make you a weak person. Because really, truly, I've been saying this for a few months now, the greatest pandemic that we will ever face or have to deal with is trauma. It doesn't discriminate. It's not only in the US, it's worldwide. It's worldwide. 70% of adults have experienced some traumatic experience. And when you look at marginalized groups like people of color, the LGBT community, poor people who live in poverty, the rate is even higher than that. So I think it's time we have a real conversation about that. And more importantly, I think it's time we began healing that. And so I'm offering you a safe space to begin healing your trauma in my virtual Inner Child Healing Retreat. Again, go to innerchildhealing.co to learn more. And if you get there and it doesn't resonate, again, then it doesn't resonate. I promise you I won't take it personal. All right, y'all. I love y'all. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to spend time with you, spend time in your ear and hopefully in your heart and your spirit and your soul. I love it. I'm so grateful for this platform that I have to normalize the healing process. That's what all of this is about. All of the work that I do is to normalize the healing process. And it is my hope that we would have a world where when we talk about trauma, it's celebrated and it's not looked at as if it's a bad thing or a weak thing. It's not stigmatized. All right, y'all. Thank you so much. And as I go, just know that the love in me salutes the love in you.
Hey loves, are you looking for a safe place to hang out while you're healing with other like-minded individuals? If so, then I would love for you to join my private Facebook community called Healing While Discovering Yourself, named after the podcast. This community is for those who are truly seeking a safe place to heal and also show up authentically. If this interests you, then I'm going to invite you to go to Facebook/groups/healing while discovering. I look forward to seeing you in the group. What would you do if you knew that in 5 minutes you could take back control of your life, calm your nerves, and shift into your power? You would take advantage of that offer, wouldn't you? Well, I would love to share with you my proprietary The More method. It's a method that I use every day to help me take back control of my life and master my inner world. See, I don't know if anyone has ever told you, but you are not just a physical being. You are not just a spiritual being, you are a multi-dimensional being. And that means that you are spiritual, you are mental, you are emotional, and you are physical. The More method is designed to help you truly take back control of your life and master your inner world, every area of your inner world, so that you can show up authentically and unapologetically. Go to themoremethod.co. Again, that's themoremethod.co to download the video and amazing guide to show you how to take back control of your life and master your inner world in as little as 5 minutes a day.